All over the internet, there's stuff about the light rail ban in Indianapolis. But is light rail actually banned in Indianapolis? And how did we get to this situation in Indianapolis? Whatever the situation is. And why should we care? These are all questions I'll answer in this video. To understand where we are today in Indianapolis with public transit, we have to turn back the clock to 2014. There had been numerous efforts to adequately fund public transit in the city going back to well before 2014, but those efforts came short. But in 2014, there was something of a breakthrough. Thanks to legislation passed that year, 6 central Indiana counties gained the ability to fund expanded mass transit through small income tax increases, provided voters supported those increases. Those counties were Delaware, Hamilton, Hancock, Johnson, Madison, and Marion counties. Marion is the county Indianapolis itself is in, while the other counties mentioned here are also in central Indiana. But the legislation, like many pieces of legislation, involved compromise. And one compromise was that none of the public funding, assuming voters approved of the funding, would go to light rail. And that's where I think I need to address a slight misconception about the situation with light rail in Indianapolis. There is no complete ban on light rail in the city. Rather, any light rail built cannot be built with public funding. So, let's say a private company wanted to fund a light rail system themselves for the city. I don't see anything preventing a private company from doing that. It's just that tax dollars can't be used for building light rail, which means that it's kind of fully banned without it being fully banned. Because with mass transit being generally a money losing enterprise in the United States, there is little incentive for the private sector to get involved with the building of public transit. As much as it would be amazing for Eli Lilly, which is headquartered in Indianapolis, to pony up the funding for a light rail system for the area, I don't see them, or any other company, doing that. Since 2014, there have been multiple attempts to repeal the ban on public funding for light rail, but those attempts have never succeeded. There is an attempt in 2018, for example, as a result of efforts to try and lure Amazon to have its second headquarters in Indianapolis. But that attempt died in the Indiana State Senate. So, what we're left with is bus rapid transit in the form of the red and purple lines rather than light rail. Very good bus rapid transit, from what I hear. Everything I've heard about the red and purple lines has generally been positive, but bus rapid transit nevertheless. And bus rapid transit that is only in Marion County. And that's despite the fact that there are 2 nearby suburbs of Indianapolis, Fishers and Carmel, that have over 100,000 people. Why do I detail all of this, aside from the fact that it's interesting to me personally? Well, for a couple of reasons. First, because if anyone listening to this video lives in Indiana, I want this video to be a reminder to continue to tell your state legislators that you think the Indianapolis area should decide for themselves whether they want light rail funded with tax dollars, rather than the state legislature deciding for them. And second, I think this historical background is good to offer with the new series I'm doing on my channel. A series where I imagine new rapid transit lines for the Indianapolis area. The series, for the record, is going to be a lot like my series on Los Angeles, except I'm doing it for the Indianapolis area. Now, Indianapolis poses some interesting questions. Questions that I don't think I had to ask with Los Angeles. And I'll answer them as best I can in this video, before going into plans for rapid transit lines in future videos on Indianapolis. Before answering those questions, let's talk about the organization I want to highlight today, which is the IndyGo Foundation. Anyone who knows anything about public transit in the Indianapolis area knows that IndyGo is the public transit provider in Indianapolis. Well, IndyGo also has a foundation that seeks to improve transit access for Indianapolis residents, called the IndyGo Foundation. And, given the relative dearth of public transit advocacy organizations I found when I wanted to advertise one for the Indianapolis area in this video, I wanted to advertise one that is actually active. I'll try and remember to leave a link to the IndyGo Foundation's website in the video description below. Now, back to the rest of my video, where I post some questions regarding my plans for Indianapolis that I didn't have to do with LA. First, is it a complete waste of time to imagine rapid transit lines aside from bus rapid transit in Marion County, given the near total ban on light rail, as well as the fact that it's only Marion County that seems somewhat invested in mass transit? The answer to that question would help determine how ambitious my plans are in future videos, after all. My answer is no. Because the optimist in me likes to believe that these conditions won't last forever. And, as such, it's important to have a vision for expanded public transit in the Indianapolis metro area when the transit situation becomes a little less hostile. So, if you hear me plan light rail lines on this channel, despite the near total ban on light rail in Indy, yes, I do know what the law is. And if you hear me proposing commuter rail lines, despite there being tepid at best interest in mass transit outside of Marion County, know that I'm not ignorant of that current reality. The second question is whether Indianapolis even has the population density to sustain rail transit, and light rail in particular. And then, if not, what combination of regional rail and bus rapid transit makes sense? The reason I ask these questions is that, while the LA area has many clusters of census tracts with over 10,000 people per square mile, Indianapolis has only one census tract with that sort of population density. Personally, I think some level of rail, and yes, even light rail, is necessary for Indianapolis, for the simple reason that the city has so many high capacity events that it needs the high capacity transit that rail brings. There are numerous examples of this, ranging from Indiana Pacers NBA games to Indiana Fever WNBA games, from Indianapolis Colts games to the Indianapolis 500 every May, not to mention non-sporting events, such as conventions that draw tens of thousands of people. And, in the case of festivities during the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's important to be able to move crowds in the 5 or 6 digits in a very short period of time. If I'm honest, the only way to feasibly do this is with rail transit. A third question for me to grapple with is this. Even if we were to build light rail, how does that fit into Indy, in relation to bus rapid transit that seems to be well regarded? If I'm honest, I haven't fully answered that question for myself yet. I'm not sure I want to destroy something that's generally well regarded. And I think it can even make legitimate arguments to expand what is already working. But also, rail is a higher capacity form of transit than BRT. It's a hard question for me to answer, and it's a question I'm just going to have to answer as my series goes along. And, thankfully, I'll be doing videos in this series about once a month, so I have a little time to think upon this question. Also, without spoiling my series too much, I think that my first couple proposals are ones that will kind of avoid answering that question, at least for now. That way, I have a little more time to think. The fourth question is, why on earth am I asking so many questions? Okay, just joking on that one. Anywho, I look forward to doing this series on Indianapolis. Well, there are two bus rapid transit lines, and a third on its way from what I read. I feel like I'm starting with close to a blank slate in some ways, which offers itself a new set of challenges, even compared to LA. Even with those challenges, though, I hope to offer a vision for rapid transit in the Indianapolis area that is optimistic. If you have any thoughts on anything I said in this video about transit in the Indianapolis area, please leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to also leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content on imagining better mass transit in the United States. Thank you, and have a good day.